Hi guys, it's Brittany. So today's gonna be a Dreamtime video, and I had this really funny dream about the movie Signs. Only one scene in particular, and I still remember it. So, as you know, that the movie Signs is, well, quite serious, and there's just parts in there where you kind of feel the tension and you feel just how serious it is, and um, and you also feel scared because of the whole alien thing in the movie. And to be honest, it's a scary movie. It's a scary alien movie, especially because of certain things in there, and even towards the end, which does get intense. I know it's not like a gory movie in a way, but it's still scary in its own way. But in this dream, I now I didn't dream about any of the like really intense or scary parts, or even like towards the ending. No, because I would not want to see that thing, not even in my dreams, because that would be a total nightmare. But one of the things I dreamt was, the scene where the sheriff, she comes to the house, and then she questions Mel Gibson's character and Joaquin Phoenix, their characters, Graham and Merrill, like, so she's, questioning them, saying what it was they saw that night. And so, I can't. I do remember the lines, but I can't really remember exactly how it went in order. But you know how it goes. So she's questioning them, and when she asks them like, "How are you certain that this was a man?" And so, Joaquin, he still says his line, saying that he doesn't know any girls that could jump like that. And she's saying how there are some women in the Olympics that could uh, jump like that. I think she mentioned Scandinavian woman Olympics that could like probably jump that high. So when she was saying how it could be a possibility that maybe if it wasn't a man on their roof, but maybe somehow it could be a woman instead. Now, let me just remind you here. Now, the answers they gave, even though they they look kind of serious, but I think in a way they look like they just have that look on their face. So, um, if you know what I mean, like they just don't know what to say. Um, but yeah, so in this dream, it wasn't like that. Their answers were funny because when she was saying how it could be a possibility that if it wasn't a man on the roof, that could have been a woman that jumped on the roof instead. So with Mel Gibson, his character, he says, no, no, I don't think it could have been a woman. He says it seriously, but then he says, like, if it was a woman, I think she would have called for help. She would have called for help to bring her down, and we could have brought a ladder and carried her down and bring her to the bring her to the house and ask her if she was okay, and how she ended up on the roof. And so the officer, the sheriff, she looks at him and she's like, okay, like she wasn't expecting that kind of answer. And so with Joaquin, with his character, he said, yeah, come to think of it, I don't think it could have been a woman either. And if it was, we probably would have saw the shape, the very voluptuous shape of a woman. And yes, we would have brought her down and asked her if she was okay. And so she looks at him kind of strange with that look, like, okay, like, I think she just wasn't expecting that kind of answer. I think she probably hoped that they would be like, yeah, you know what, maybe you're right, maybe it could have been a woman. So I think she was hoping they would somehow agree with her, but they didn't. They just had their own answers. And it just turned out quite funny. And then she was asking some other questions saying, okay, so was dark that night? And they were like, yes, it was very dark. And she was like, okay, then who was it that jumped on the roof? And they're like, I don't know. I don't think it was human. Could have been a man. Could have been a pretty woman either. And so their responses and how they answered and how they said it was just funny. And so she still has that weird look on her face, like, okay, I never heard these kinds of answers before. Like, are they okay? um, so yeah, she's still asking them questions, and oh yeah, she even asked, did someone jump on the roof, and did they were they trying to break into the house? And then they were like, nope, there was no attempt of a break-in. It's just like, okay, but how can you be so sure? Like, and so they said, well, for one, whoever jumped on the roof was only walking on the roof, um, walking around. But other than that, there was no attempt of a break-in. Because if there was, someone on that roof could have thrown something or could have somehow broke the glass to one of the windows on the second floor. And if we have heard that, and if someone had to try to break into the house, then we would have heard something, would have ran to the house, and we would have probably stopped the person, right there. And it's just like, okay, so no sign of a break-in. And they're like, no, not at all. And so it's like, okay, so was this person tall? And so with Mel, he said that he did saw that was on the roof, but he, like, when he was inside the house, but when he saw it from the window to his kids, from his, yeah, because when he was talking to his daughter in the room, and just when he saw it from on the roof, from that part of the room through the window, he said that whatever it was or who it was really tall, like about 7 feet. And then she was still asking, like, so are you sure whoever it was probably wasn't a man? And then so they had this look, like they had this funny look on their face. They roll their eyes and I'm like, okay, we understand what you're trying to say here, but we're not very positive if it could have been a woman. Like, I know what you were saying about, like, how some Olympians, maybe like a woman Olympian from the Olympics could have jumped on the roof, but to be honest, I don't think it could have been a woman. Like, I don't think so. We would have seen a very voluptuous shape of a woman, and if she was pretty, I don't think she would do a thing like that. It was just funny of the responses, and they're like, we're not sure if this thing was a man either or human at all. Like, and they were saying, in fact, if it was a human, either a man or a woman, they probably would have said something, they probably would have said something to us to maybe threaten us, or maybe to scare us. Like, they could have said anything. Or if someone was, high and they ended up on the roof, or they were drunk, like, we don't know, but whoever it was didn't seem drunk, didn't seem like somehow they were sleepwalking on the roof, like, none of that. Like, this thing, or whoever it was, did not seem human at all, because they didn't say anything. First of all, they only heard like footsteps on the roof. That's all they heard. But other than that, there was no, like, hi, like, yeah, I'm on your roof, but I don't know how I got here. I'm not kidding. This dream was real funny, and I remember laughing. I remember, like, watching this, like, seeing this in my dream, and I was just, like, laughing. And I'm like, I never seen this in the movie. Like, is this like a blooper or deleted scene somehow? Because that would have been real funny. But no, this is just something that my mind made up, and I think this is something my mind made up because, I think when it was like kind of quiet, and it, kind of looked sad, and they looked kind of serious too. And since the responses were not quite funny in a way, then I think that's why my dream just made it up too, just to make it funny, just to have a laugh, just to see if they had said something different and if they had said something like that. So the dream ended by the sheriff, how she's like a little annoyed, and how she's really confused by their responses and what they said, and just pretty much what they said and how they were saying it. And then she's like, like, okay, but are you are you certain that maybe it could have been a woman? And they're like, nope, no pretty woman on the roof. And then after they said that, she rolled her eyes and was like, okay, enough with that question. But okay, I'll look into it, and I'll see whatever or whoever this was. I could try to look into it, but in case if this happens again, let me know. And if it does happen, take a good look at it and tell me whether if it is a man or a woman or human. And but then again, she's like, then again, I think it could have been human, because there's just some crazy people that do stupid things. And then so Graham and Merrill, they both looked at each other, like, no, this, I don't think this thing was human at all. Like, it had this very weird, very off feeling to it. So we don't think it was human at all. And then she was like, okay, I could keep that in mind, but I have to go, and I'll let you know. But in case this happens again, please let me know, okay? And they were like, yes, okay, sure, yes, we will let you know. so so that was it. And so just when the dream was over, I woke up laughing, just because it was just real funny. Oh, I think I should say this real quick, which I forgot to mention, but in the dream, I don't know why. Okay, so in the dream, just when how they were both saying that they don't believe that whoever it was a woman, and they were saying how, like, we don't think it was a woman, because not only they said that they would have seen it very voluptuous shape of a woman and a pretty one. But they also said like how they didn't see like the side, like her, they didn't see the side of her profile, and they didn't see any of the boobs or or you know, nothing like that. You know, or a butt either. So they said they just didn't see the side of her, you know, profile of her. So yeah, but that was just quite funny too. And she had that look like, okay. So she didn't know what to say. I mean, I don't know. I think if it were me, if I was in that scene, I think if I was in that scene where they were saying that, for one, I would have been laughing for their answers and how funny their responses were. Not just that, but I would have been like, you know what? That makes sense, cause yeah, I mean, maybe it could have been a woman, but I don't think so. Like, you know, so I think somehow I probably would have agreed if I was in that scene, but I wasn't really in it. Like, I wasn't in that scene of that dream. It was more like I'm watching it. Like, I'm watching this whole different version of the scene from the movie. So it was just so funny. So yes, I woke up laughing and I thought like, oh my gosh, like that is funny. And I remember thinking what they said, I'm like, I can't believe they said that, but that was so funny. And because, yeah, I didn't even watch Signs that night. I didn't, because I think around that time it had been probably a while since I've seen it, but somehow, since I still remember the movie, how it goes, and the lines and the scenes, and I think because I've watched it probably more than once. I mean, it's not my favorite. It still scares me, um, but yeah, since I still remember how the story goes and everything, it's like somehow that part I just dreamt about it, and somehow I think my mind, like my subconscious mind, just made it up and made that scene funny. Since in the actual movie, it's nothing like that. So I don't know, I'm actually glad that for once one of the scenes turned out to be funny, at least in the dream, since it wasn't the actual movie. But yeah, so just to let you guys know that, and I hope you enjoyed this video and like the dream, and let me know what you think of Science, whether if you like it or not, whether if it may scare you with the whole, you know, alien thing or not. I know it does with me, especially at the ending, because, oof, no. Uh, so anyway, that's all for today, and I'll see you at the movies.